Welcome to Keeping the Magic, the podcast, a space for open, authentic conversations that guide us home to our true selves and to our magic within. Let's begin. Hi, welcome everyone, and welcome Jack. Jack is my friend, and today we wanted to come together to talk about relationships between men and women. So welcome, Jack.
Thank you, Charlotte. Thank you for having me. I've very much enjoyed our chats that we've had on this topic and many other topics, and hopefully we can offer a slightly different perspective on relationships that you don't hear so often, but that I've found very helpful in my life in understanding my own relationships and also the relationships around me. It makes it a lot easier to navigate life when you can understand people and what they're going through, and because relationships are such a big part of our lives. And have such a big effect, the more you can understand that and what people are going through and how you can change your own situation and that kind of thing. So yeah, excited to be here, and thank you for having me.
Thank you. I'm really excited too because as you said, I find it really important nowadays to have both perspectives, from the masculine, from the feminine, men and women. And I also wanted to say and share that I did an episode, my last episode, where I talked about mental health for men. I was very surprised by all the messages I received from men saying thank you, like finally we are talking about this, finally we have this space, finally having the permission, like to, men need to feel, men are allowed to feel, are allowed to express their emotions, and also to have that space where they can also take care of themselves. And it goes from mental health to, through the body or whatever, how we want to take care of ourselves. But yes, and I really felt it was really heartwarming, and it really encouraged me to say, okay, I really want to talk about men more, well-being, mental health, wellness, and even if we want to go spirituality, isn't more for women. It's not. And so I'm so happy that we together, even though we do want to kind of like focus and talk about relationships, but allow that to kind of,
Yeah, I think obviously the self-help and life coaching and that kind of thing does seem to be more geared towards women, but I think that and there seems to be more female life coaches around and that kind of thing. But I think the main reason for that is that women are more naturally drawn in that direction. Women seem to be more naturally emotionally connected. Men spend a lot more time in their heads. They're a lot more logical. They don't like emotions particularly. They just get in the way of doing their business in the material world. It is a sort of an area that needs a lot more focus. But obviously, I think the main reason it's not got a lot of focus is because there's not that many men who want to go there. But obviously that is changing as time passes. More men are more curious as to wanting to change things on their external world, like I was. I was very much not at all connected to my emotions as a younger man. And as the challenges of life came along, I was sort of driven inwards and started working on myself. And I got so much benefit from it that's why it is my passion now to spread this kind of knowledge and talk about these topics, because it can help our lives in so many different ways. And as I said, relationship has been such a big part of our lives. If we can help ourselves in that situation and help our partner and help others, it would make such a difference to our lives and the world. So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree so much. And I think that, men, as you said, to come back to that, as you said, men don't really think so much of all that because it's just not something they really do, or because, again, obviously we are different. We're made differently, men and women. But there's also a part of, I feel, conditioning and how, men, their role and how they're raised. And so it's not self-help, it's not self-development, it's not going to be spirituality, it's going to be, more the I've got it together and I have to get things, done in the world, and, practical, and be a model and be strong and, earn money and stuff. So yeah, really kind of, I really want to talk about that too, like kind of bringing some kind of balance in our roles and positions in the world, or just within ourselves, between men and women.
Yeah, I think like the balance obviously is so important in so many areas in our lives when it comes to personal growth and self-development and just general well-being. And I think this was one of my main points with relationships actually, that we are, whether it is society that has put this kind of difference on us, the different roles of men and women, or whether it is genetic, like wherever it comes from, it doesn't really matter. But there is this difference, and the lack of awareness of that, I find, is a big problem that leads to problems in relationships. Because if we're not fully aware of our primal instincts, the male instinct and the female instinct, if we're not aware of that within ourselves and we're not aware of it within our partner, that can lead to friction because those two roles are different often in certain ways.
Well, there was actually something I wanted to talk about when we talked about relationships. Obviously, there's so much we could talk about and so many things that we could say and go and get quite deep into. And we will do several episodes and we will take the time because there is no rush. And I really feel that again, it's really discovering certain parts of, yeah, of how we interact in a relationship, whether it's a new relationship and we're getting to know someone, or whether it's a long-term relationship we've been in. um how do we respond to the other? How do we actually see the other? And where is it coming from? Because obviously if it's always from the ego, it's always ego based, there's going to be friction and there's going to be fights, and it's going to be like, yeah, well, this is my point, that's my point of view, so whatever. And I feel it, I've experienced personally, but also I've heard it so much around me, um even just regarding dating. When you start to like meet someone or date, everyone is just so fed up of how it has become so complicated, so confusing, and to actually like meet someone and connect somewhere where it's genuine, authentic and real. Everyone is just running away from their emotions, from what they're feeling, what they're getting into. What are the consequences if I say this? What are the consequences if I do that? And it's like we don't even know how to communicate with the opposite sex anymore. And I find it really sad in a way, because I'm like, what is going on? Like, why can't we just naturally be, in a way, just being ourselves, which has become probably very hard nowadays, to just be and not worry what the other is going to think, and be able to connect naturally. And I feel that so many people, whether it's women and men, are suffering from that.
I kind of, you said, why can we not connect on this in this way anymore? But to be honest, I don't really think we've ever been able to connect in this way as men and women throughout all of history in this genuine, deep way that you speak about. Obviously, people have, but I don't think that's ever been the norm. And I think that is because we've lived in a world where that has not been full of sort of spiritually enlightened and awake people. And I think at this moment in time, there are more and more people getting to that point. So there are more people who have that desire that you just said, where that you really want to meet people at a genuine soul to soul level, and not at the level of meeting the ego's needs. The primal instincts are one of those needs that people are trying to have met. The man is trying to get his male primal needs met, and so is the woman. And if you don't understand each other from that perspective, that causes a clash. And I think this is for me, I'm the kind of person who likes to get down to like the fundamental reasons of why things happen. And in relationships, especially when things are going wrong, I think the main reason for that is that one or both people are coming to the relationship from a position of lack, some kind of lack within, whether that is the lack of not having your primal needs met, or whether that is lack of self-confidence. So a lot of people have a fear of being alone, so they need a partner to feel safe. So it's like a safety security thing. People need validation. People want attention. Some people have a lot of pressure put on them from their family or society to be in a relationship, whether that's religious or just family in general.
Yeah.
Some people want the safety from having, for financial reasons, a partner who can provide for them because they don't feel like they can provide for themselves. All of these kinds of things are coming from a position of lack, and that is a negative. And obviously, if you're into spiritual growth and you know about the law of attraction, if you start with something from a negative position, it's very difficult to get a positive. And
Yeah.
if you're starting from a negative, you're most likely to attract a negative. So you will probably, even though you may find a partner who meets some of these needs to some degree, they will have other aspects about them that are quite negative that will bring negatives into your life. So it's very, very difficult to have a nice, harmonious relationship full of growth and exploration and adventure when you are starting from this position of feeling some degree of lack within yourself. And the only way to get out of that is to work on yourself. And another thing that makes relationships difficult is we find a partner and this person is meeting our needs to some degree, but they're not meeting all of them. So all of our energy goes into trying to make this partner into what we want them to be. We're trying to adapt them mold them into our vision of the perfect partner. It's all about me and what I want from this person. And in a way, it's kind of like a skewed view of what love is really about. People often think love is all about me and me getting this feeling from a particular person. But in reality, if you study spirituality or anything that talks about the genuine meaning of love, it's the opposite of that. It's all about giving. It's all about what can I do for this person, or what can I do for myself? How can I make things better in the world? And that, for me, is a fundamental problem with the relationships and so many other things in life. But today we're talking about relationships.
Yeah. Oh, I love that so much. Yeah, we are. So when you start from lack, obviously, all your fears, negative beliefs that are holding you back. So if you want to start a relationship and you're feeling that way, the other is going to feel it, is going to see it, and it's going to be reflected like a mirror back to, so it's kind of like, oh, I don't like seeing this. This doesn't make me feel good. But I really think that working on ourselves or being willing to see within what needs to be kind of held with compassion and softness from ourselves and accepting in a way, then it kind of opens a doorway with the other, in a way being vulnerable, saying, yeah, okay, so I have these fears, I have these doubts, I have these negative beliefs, but it can be really, really hard for many who are listening right now. So yeah, well, that seems easy, but it's not, to be vulnerable, because it feels as if, for example, me, I'm a woman, and I'm going to try and be vulnerable with you. So I like you, I want to, I want to be vulnerable, but I don't know how you're going to respond to that.
Yeah.
And I really feel that that's where it kind of blocks, and like where it kind of stops between men and women in relationships. It's like, I want to be vulnerable, I want to open up, but I feel that the other person is not going to greet it so well, or won't give the response I want. And that's where I get back to what you said, is what I want. I want this, and I want to receive this. This is my list of criteria. This is how I want to feel. And so that was the second point. There's lack. So if we come from lack, it's not going to work. And the me, I want to receive. But when do you give? When do you give and maybe see the other as he or she really is? Not what we want the person to be, but as the person really is, with some things we may not like so much. Okay, so how can you see that with a kind of different perspective, and not, these are my needs and this is what I want? No, it's an exchange, and seeing the person and wanting to really know the person and not the image, or the kind of perfect image that we want to give the other person.
And I think that's the biggest hurdle to get over in the early stages of trying to have a relationship like this, because, like you say, to be vulnerable or to try and be vulnerable with somebody is very difficult to do, because a lot of the time people have been spending their whole lives running away from these emotions themselves. They haven't even been able to admit them to themselves. Never mind another person, and never mind another person who they really admire and who are attracted to. So that is a really scary thing to do. And
It is.
also, it's another aspect of something coming from fear, something coming from a place of lack. You are worried what this person's going to think of you when you are vulnerable with them. For me, like, spiritual growth and self-development are all about just facing our fears. And because relationships are so intense, and because they are going on every day most of the time, and the person's in your life and they know everything about you, they are usually the most challenging thing in our lives. But that means that they are also usually the best opportunity to grow, because you are being triggered in the most deep ways by this person and by yourself and by your interactions together. So, like, yeah, but as you say at the beginning, when we're trying to change this relationship from one which is all about me and the partner's perspective, it's all about them. This is the first hurdle we have to get over. We have to learn to be vulnerable with each other and accept each other at that level. So I'm not saying that we should all do our inner work on our own and get to a point where we feel really comfortable and then have a relationship. We can still have relationships while we know that we're not fully whole and we've got issues and we've got things we need to work on. But I think it's important to understand that if you are still in that state, there's going to be problems in this relationship, and that's all right. That's what it's all about. Whether it's a relationship or another aspect of life, we're going to go into it, we're going to make choices, and things are going to happen, and sometimes those things are going to be negative. But we shouldn't view that, in my opinion, as a bad thing, because every negative that happens is an opportunity to learn something. And once we have learned that can be incorporated into our being, and we become a better person from it. So, yeah, that early stage, though, and getting over the vulnerability and finding a partner who is willing to do the same thing is very important, because if you're the only one putting the effort in, if you're the only one who wants to be vulnerable and who really wants to understand your partner, if your partner's not willing to give you that, then it's not really going to end up being a positive relationship for both of you. You still might be able to learn things, but your partner's not going to grow much, and you're going to feel like you're kind of leaving them behind as you start to ascend a bit from where you are at the moment. So I would say that is quite important at the start as well, if you're going into this kind of process.
Yeah, but I think that's where it's complicated, is that nowadays it is hard to find someone who is willing to, who wants a relationship, who wants to connect, who wants to open up a bit and give a bit of themselves. And I think that's why it's so challenging for men and women nowadays in relationships. And I've heard it so much around me is, but like, I can't find the person who wants to, like, it's super hard. And it's just in this kind of superficial consumption, just like everything else. I'm going to consume relationships. I'm going to change as soon as it gets a bit boring or doesn't suit me so well. Doesn't matter. I'll just find someone else. So that's how I feel that. But so that could sound like, oh well, that's not great. No, it's not. But the positive thing is everyone's fed up of it. Men and women are fed up of this overconsumption of relationships, one night stands. Most of the people are fed up. So obviously, when we get to the point where everyone's kind of like, okay, I've had enough of this. Like, I want just a normal relationship where I can, feel a minimum of trust and a minimum of comfort, a minimum of like meeting someone somewhere. And so I know my references are not like best, but I love to watch Love is Blind. And I find these reality shows amazing for that, because they show so much the world we live in, the relationships, and the men, but I'd say mostly women, but the men too, are like, we've had enough. Like, I'm a certain age, not like they're old or anything, but they're like, okay, I'm 32, I'm 35. I want to get married. I want to meet someone. I want to have like a proper relationship. And all those people, no matter which country you're in, because what I love is they've done the Love is Blind, Italy, Sweden, Germany, France, have done it everywhere. The States obviously started there. So it's like, and that's what I loved. It's not only a cultural thing, it's not like only in one country, it's everywhere. And everywhere is like the same thing, the same kind of um, result is we've had enough. I'm enough. I don't want to date thousands of men. I want to um and okay, Love is Blind is to get married. Okay. Everyone doesn't want to get married and everyone doesn't want to have kids. So that's just an example. But even without thinking all that stuff, it's just like, yeah, I want a boyfriend. Yeah, I want a girlfriend. Right. So complicated. So yeah, this is why I wanted to get together with you, Jack, so we can, over the episodes, kind of share different perspectives and going deeper and come up with some yeah thing insights that will help people say, "Ha, okay, yeah, I got that. Right, I'm gonna work on that myself, or I'm going to look it up on internet to maybe get some help or find some information to see how I can, be curious of, in a way, wanting a change. If we want a change and we want a positive change, we have to put in the work and we have to be willing."
Exactly. And I think the example you gave there of those people who are frustrated on that program and not being able to find what they want is because, like what I said earlier, they're most likely coming at the situation from the wrong mindset. And also, even if they are coming at it from the right mindset and they are open to a deeper connection and they don't want it to be superficial, that very often still means that they need to do some work on themselves. That means that they need to change as a person.
In my personal life, I have come to the conclusion that working on myself, loving myself, knowing that I'm in a way whole and aligned, then I can welcome someone who's aligned with me.
Precisely. Yeah.
And who will feel that.
Yeah.
Who will feel like, yeah, I feel she's there. Like she know what she wants. Doesn't mean it has to be this status relationship thing. No, it's felt. It's like, yep, she's done the work. She's not showing me stuff that I don't feel comfortable with. She's not making me feel uncomfortable because of her fears, because of that. She's aligned within. Doesn't mean we're perfect. Doesn't mean we all have it together. It just means that the work within, we feel whole. And then when you feel whole within, you can welcome someone else into your life.
Precisely.
But before that, yeah.
That is the ultimate goal that we want to get to have this kind of relationship. Once you feel at peace within yourself, once you feel able to face the challenges of life and know that they'll still be hard, but know that you can face them yourself, and that you could be sort of completely self-sufficient and not reliant and dependent upon your partner, that is the perfect kind of ideal situation to be in, to have a very nice, mostly positive relationship full of growth for both of you, where you can then come together and try and offer something of value to the world. But if you're not there, that's fine. It doesn't matter. Wherever you are right now is perfectly fine. We can all only start from that position. And
of course,
all we need to do is just keep taking the next step forward. And that doesn't mean we'll always take the right step. We will take a lot of wrong steps along the way. But you just have to remain positive and know that growth is always possible. A better situation is always possible. And you will find the partner or partners in your future that will add great things to your life. Just don't cling to that that vision. A lot of people have this vision of the perfect relationship and I need to find this perfect partner. But again, that is all coming from the back. I find it so much better to just have a very open-minded attitude. Try not to focus too much on one thing in the future. Just try and enjoy the person for who they are in the moment. And wherever it goes, it will go.
And I think it's a great introduction to these subjects and what we're going to talk about in the future. I'm really happy that we could come together and yes, and thanking everyone who's listening, and hopefully, yes, this share today helps you and brings a little spark. So sending lots of love and stay in touch.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Keeping the Magic, the podcast. You can listen to more episodes now on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, and YouTube. Trust your potential within. Lots of love.